teams were racing towards to try and find the 5 people on board alive. Here's a timeline of events since the sub set off and the race by search teams to find it, according to the US Coast Guard's estimates.
This is an incredibly complex search operation.
We're losing time and we're losing opportunity to find them alive.
On Saturday evening, British billionaire and adventurer Hamish Harding, one of those aboard the submersible, posts saying, "A weather window has just opened up and we're going to attempt a dive tomorrow." He doesn't post on Facebook again. At 8 a.m. on Sunday, the Titan submersible begins its descent, triggering the 96-hour countdown, which is the window of oxygen supply the vessel has from the time it's sealed. It should be a 2-hour descent to the wreck of the Titanic, which lies at a depth of 12,500 feet in the North Atlantic Ocean. But 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Welcome to this edition of Viral. I'm your host as always, Kendra Dix here. So we talk about the OceanGate submarine explosion where 5 passengers had passed away. We'll get to it in a minute, but first thing first, join in the conversation using the hashtag Viral here on Connect. And don't forget to subscribe. Subscribing is caring. Tell a friend, call a friend, hit that subscribe button so you won't miss the thing. We're talking about the OceanGate missing submarine that was missing for a couple of days after they lost communication. After they had 5 passengers inside the boat, but we found out later this week that all 5 passengers had perished after the oxygen was 96 hours left, and they all passed away. And everyone wants to know what happened, what could be done to prevent this from never happening again, and what are the missing pieces of the wreckage. So let's get to the latest on what's going on with the OceanGate missing submarine that 5 people had passed away right now.
American and Canadian authorities say they've expanded their search and rescue teams into deeper waters as they race against the clock to find the missing submersible that vanished while taking tourists on a $250,000 trip under the sea to the wreck of the Titanic. And Reuters is learning more about the people aboard the vessel, which authorities say can only operate for about 96 hours underwater. Contact was lost on Sunday, and it's not clear what condition the vessel is in. So who is aboard? One of the missing persons is reportedly Stockton Rush, the founder of a company called OceanGate, which ran the operation. Reuters met Rush in 2017, where he talked about the company. This is what he said at the time.
5 individuals can go on each dive. 3 of those are what we call mission specialists. So those are the folks who help finance the mission, but they're also active participants. So why we're not a fan of the tourist term is because these are crew members, and we teach them how to operate the sonar, how to operate the communication systems. You're part of the crew.
Hamish Harding, a British billionaire, is believed to be aboard and said on social media that he was one of the mission specialists. He lives in Dubai and is the chairman of an aviation consultancy. He's an adventurer. He once accompanied Buzz Aldrin, the former astronaut, on a trip to the South Pole when Aldrin became the oldest person ever to reach the Antarctic. 4 years ago, he was also aboard an aircraft that set a world record for fastest circumnavigation of the Earth over the North and South Pole. Harding is accompanied on the Titanic trip by Shahzada Dawood and Dawood's son, Suleiman. Dawood is an executive at one of Pakistan's largest conglomerates, Engro Corporation, and lives in the UK. But he's also a trustee at the famed SETI Institute, also known as the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence in California. Their website says he's a philanthropist, loves animals, and has a wife and daughter as well.
Je suis Paul-Henri Narjolet.
The vessel's reportedly piloted by Paul-Henri Narjolet, a French explorer and the director of underwater research at a company that owns the wreck of the Titanic. He's a former commander in the French Navy and served as both a...
Teams were racing towards to try and find the 5 people on board alive. Here's a timeline of events since the sub set off and the race by search teams to find it, according to the US Coast Guard's estimates.
This is an incredibly complex search operation.
We're losing time and we're losing opportunity to find them alive.
On Saturday evening, British billionaire and adventurer Hamish Harding, one of those aboard the submersible, posts saying, "A weather window has just opened up and we're going to attempt a dive tomorrow." He doesn't post on Facebook again. At 8 a.m. on Sunday, the Titan submersible begins its descent, triggering the 96-hour countdown, which is the window of oxygen supply the vessel has from the time it's sealed. It should be a 2-hour descent to the wreck of the Titanic, which lies at a depth of 12,500 feet in the North Atlantic Ocean. But 1 hour and 45 minutes after setting off, communications between the sub and the surface vessel are lost. The submersible has been scheduled to return to the surface at 3 p.m, but it fails to appear. The Coast Guard is notified at 5:40 p.m. By Monday, US and Canadian ships and planes are swarming the area, some dropping sonar buoys that can monitor to a depth of 13,000 feet. Search teams stress that this is a remote area and a challenge to conduct a search. Officials also ask commercial vessels for help. On Tuesday, more people on board are named. Pakistani-born businessman Shahzada Dawood and his 19-year-old son, Suleiman. Their family ask for prayers for their safety. Later on Tuesday, noises, reported to be banging sounds, are detected over several hours by a Canadian aircraft, which is equipped with gear to trace submarines. Reports suggest the banging sounds came at 30-minute intervals. Hamish Harding's friend says hopes are not high.
As it stands right now, it would be a miracle if they are recovered alive.
At 2 a.m. on Wednesday, the US Coast Guard announces it's deploying remotely operated vehicle searches to the area where the sounds were detected. The data is also sent to US Navy experts for analysis, while a French research ship equipped with a deep-sea diving vessel makes its way to the search area.
The surface search is now approximately 2 times the size of Connecticut, and the subsurface search is up to 2.5 miles deep, exponentially expanding the size of the search area.
6 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday the 22nd of June is the rough deadline for when the vessel's air will run out, according to its specifications. But experts say the air supply depends on a range of factors, including whether the sub still has power and how calm the people aboard have remained.
As you saw right there, that story, it caught everyone's attention, and everyone was looking to see what was going on. They was all trying to go down there to see the Titanic, historic Titanic boat that a lot of people had passed away, and it had crashed in the iceberg, and it submerged down, and it's still down there to this day. But this is just one part of history. They wanted to see it, but unfortunately, they had to pay up the price to see it with their lives. Well, we know we talked about the Titanic. Let's get a little depth in history of what's going on and how the Titanic relates to this incident. Take a look.
Time and oxygen are running out in the race to find a missing submarine with 5 people on board. The U.S. Coast Guard on Wednesday said efforts by air and sea to locate the 21-foot submersible called the Titan have yet to bear fruit, despite detecting underwater sounds described as banging noises. Coast Guard Captain Jamie Frederick.
With respect to the noises specifically, we don't know what they are, to be frank with you. What I can tell you is we're searching in the area where the noises were detected. The surface search is now approximately 2 times the size of Connecticut, and the subsurface search is up to 2.5 miles deep, exponentially expanding the size of the search area.
The vessel, operated by a private tour company called Ocean Gate Expeditions, embarked on Sunday to carry passengers on a tour of the Titanic's century-old wreckage off the coast of Canada. The expedition cost $250,000 per person. The Coast Guard said the sub lost contact with its surface vessel shortly after its descent. Officials estimate the sub has enough air supply to likely last until Thursday morning.
With respect to food and water, it's my understanding there are some limited rations. I can't tell you exactly how much.
One of the missing passengers is reported to be French explorer Paul-Henri Nargeolet. A friend of his and fellow underwater explorer, Dr. David Gallo, told Reuters he is hopeful after learning of reports that underwater noises are coming in 30-minute intervals.
But I can't think of anything that would be that every 30 minutes, and I do know that pH and Archilite would do something like that to keep so that people know that they're there.
Gallo said he could not imagine the fear of those inside the Titan.
Everyone that's been to the sea, to the bottom of the sea in a submarine, has feared this and wondered what would happen if this happened. In one case, it would be a quick ending if the sub imploded. In another case, if you were trapped, it would be a slower ending. But in either case, I guess if you were trapped there and the air slowly running out would be just horrible. I don't like to think about it, but it would not be pleasant at all.
For now, it's an all-hands-on-deck mission with a French research ship carrying a deep-sea diving robot, seen here in video from 2018, dispatched to the area on Wednesday.
The Titanic, still down there, but the boat Ocean Gate was trying to go down there to ascend the below, to see the Titanic, but unfortunately, none of the passengers make it. Even the founder didn't make it, and they said he had a remote control system, which I don't know why would you even. It fathoms me that you would get a remote control for your own life. I think we was hearing reports too that they say it wasn't safe. They said that it would have been a risk, and a lot of people paid almost $250,000 to go down there. And now look what happened. And I think sometimes you got to be more realistic and see, okay, if this doesn't make sense, but if it doesn't have the safety guidelines and protocols, why would I want to go down there and it hasn't been regulated? Sometimes you got to look at things like that to see, stuff like that. And I think too, he should have tested it with pillows or something like that to test to see if everything works, like dummies, pillows, like everybody does. But he didn't do that, but unfortunately. All right, let's hear what you people had to say. A lot of you people online on TikTok and on social media had a lot to say about this matter, the Ocean Gate missing submarine explosion. Let's get what you had to say right now.
About this. This man has a company called Ocean Gate, which already sounds like a scandal. He offers this experience where you take a submarine down to the floor of the ocean so you can see the Titanic. This company has no regulations or standards. You have to sign a waiver saying I'll probably die, but it's fine because I love the Titanic. And it costs $250,000 to do it, so the people in the submarine were billionaires. The submarine is the size of a minivan, so all 5 of them are in this little tube. But what's crazy is that he jerry-rigged it with construction tubes and camping supplies. Well, listen to how it's operated. We run the whole thing with this game control. Babe, no wonder. 5 years ago, someone who worked there was like, I think people are going to die. And they're like, you're fired. Highly reputable Marine Technology Society was like, please don't do this. They have about 1 day left of oxygen. And there's 3 things they think could have happened. Could be floating on the surface of the water because they can't open it from the inside. It has to be from the outside. They've been searching and this isn't likely. Option 2 is that there was a crack in it or something and it just imploded, which honestly is pretty plausible. And the last is that they are stuck in the Titanic. If this is the case, the only way they can be saved is if instruments come down and basically break it apart. But do they even want that? If I love the Titanic so much that I ignored every sign that I was going to die, don't rip the Titanic open for me. I don't want the survivor's guilt. I came down here with an Xbox controller. I knew what I was doing. So this submarine that they still can't find.
Hey guys, so I have some good breaking news right now. They said that they are hearing noises every 30 minutes, like a banging sound. If you don't remember, they sent sonar buoys down below to see if there's any sound they could detect. And they said they are hearing banging sounds and they believe they are alive. And that the submersible did not implode. They believe they are stuck on the wreckage. But this is crazy news and amazing news because we now know they're alive. And when they believe they have about 24 hours of oxygen left and they are doing everything they can to provide the equipment needed to bring them back up or get them unstuck. Again, they heard banging sounds every 30 minutes against the hull of the submersible. take a listen to the breaking news, and I will keep you guys updated.
In the search for a missing sub carrying 5 people off the coast of Newfoundland, Canada. Repeated banging has been picked up on sonar equipment near the wreck of the Titanic, suggesting potential signs of life.
5 men on board a missing sub with just 24 hours of oxygen left. But as the urgent deadline approaches, a moment of hope.
Raise my hopes through the roof.
A leaked email today from the Department of Homeland Security indicating a Canadian aircraft near the Titanic wreck detected banging sounds in the area every 30 minutes. 4 hours later, additional sonar was deployed and banging was still heard.
Time's of the essence, because once you do that, you have an area where you know the bangs are coming from, then you need to get assets there.
The Coast Guard has confirmed this. Then another update, more sounds. This time not banging, but potentially more positive news. Additional acoustic feedback was heard and will assist in vectoring surface assets and also indicating continued hope of survivors.
If they are alive and they're going to be at almost freezing temperatures, assuming they lost all their power.
Earlier in the day, search teams scoured a 20,000 square kilometre area by air, twice the size of Melbourne. A Canadian P-3 aircraft dropping the sonar buoys onto the ocean surface. The equipment can listen up to 4 kilometres below the surface, the depth of the Titanic wreck. Locating the sub is one thing, but a deep-sea rescue is a current logistical impossibility. The US Navy is scrambling a deep ocean salvage system to the area. A French research vessel with an autonomous diving robot is en route, and Canada has sent its state-of-the-art offshore vessel, but it will take 48 hours to reach the region. Today, a 2018 lawsuit resurfaced with a former OceanGate employee claiming he was fired after raising safety concerns over how deep the vessel could descend. OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush confirmed to be on board, along with Pakistani businessman Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleiman, a French historian, and British billionaire explorer Hamish Harding, whose friends cling to hope.
The really good news is that we haven't had bad news. We haven't seen wreckage floating. We haven't heard that explosion underwater in the sonar.
Right now, every second is precious in the United States.
Hey guys.
A lot of you people had a lot to say about it, and some of y'all was making memes, funny jokes about it, set aside. Even some of y'all was giving out facts, and that's nice. But the jokes and stuff, I think sometimes people are so insensitive to stuff like that that they don't realize that 5 people lost their lives into innocent being bystanders. And I think one story particularly within the 5 was the teenager, the youngest. He was 19 years old. He really didn't want to go, but his dad tried to make him go. He tried to please his dad for Father's Day. He went down now, but unfortunately, him and his dad are no longer with us. Sometimes people got to be a little bit more sensitive to matters like this because no. So, well, we're gonna leave it like that, and hopefully there will be some regulations coming down, protocols soon for the OceanGate incident. Thank you all for watching this edition of Vow. I've been your host, Kendrick Dixon, so long, and thank you for watching Vow.